Yeah.
What's up, killers? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that is considered taboo in the YouTube world. It is street racing. Now, I know that a lot of people have negative opinions about street racing, and I'm okay with that. I'm a grown man. I'm going to do what I want, but you notice that my channel is not based around street racing because I don't want to incriminate myself. Now, this video is inspired by Determined Veteran, Jack. He went live a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about, I believe the video title was, "Is Street Racing Worth the Views?" Forgive me if I'm wrong or misquoted, but it was around that sort of title. My immediate response is yes, it is worth the views. Why? I feel it's worth the views because unless you're living your life wrong or you're around a bunch of people that are living their life wrong, most likely you're not under investigation. You know, the FBI and the CIA and probably right down to your local police department is probably not so worried. They're not sitting there studying your videos and trying to build a case against you. Now, if you're a drug dealer and you're putting out videos of you street racing, most likely they're going to use that as evidence against you because there's politics to what I foresee a for-profit judicial system, meaning that if you get arrested, that is for profit. If you go to court, that is for profit. If you get on probation, that is for profit. You have to think, officers are based, their performance is based on citations and arrests. That's what, if there is no crime, there is no officers. So that leads you to the next, which is, you go to court. You have a district attorney that is, his performance is based on convictions. You have a judge that judges. The theory of a judge blows my mind. There's no term limits. There's no I could go on forever about judges, but before it gets too far off into that realm of politics, there is politics to being arrested. So, if you're not under investigation already, most likely your street racing videos are not being, watched at a police station, and they're not putting the SWAT team together to come arrest you. Moving on from that. Why do I like street racing more than I like track racing? Well, I'm going to explain that to you in somewhat of a detail. Going to the track is like a false sense of security. It really is. I'm going to let you know right now, if you wreck your car, especially your tagged and insured street car, if you get into a wreck at the track, your insurance company is going to drop you. If you have track insurance, good for you, but I've known people personally that have asked their big name insurance companies about track insurance, and guess what? They got dropped you. So before you even enter, even as a spectator, when you go to the track, you have to sign your name. Sometimes you even have to put your phone number and even the last 4 digits of your social security number. Now, I can guarantee you, while that line is behind you and you're trying to park at the track, and blah, 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 blah. You're not going to sit there and read that big contract that you just put your name on. You're not gonna. When you go into that track, you sign away almost all liability. So if somebody runs into you, guess what? It's on private property. You know, there's nothing really that the police department is going to be able to do about it. You can write a report. Good job. Cool. I can write you a report. It's not going to do nothing. So even being there as a spectator, I'm going to give you an example. This was probably 20 years ago. Me and my father was leaving the racetrack. He had a really nice SUV. We were leaving the track as everybody else was. It was closing down. A drunk spectator tried to jump between his vehicle and the trailer that we were pulling. My dad ran him over. Okay? Now, even though he signed that waiver saying that, all whatever it says, my dad dealt with legal issues for years because of that man. Because he was stupid and drunk and decided that, now, talking about a grown man, decided that he was going to jump between a moving vehicle and a trailer. Okay. Now, fast forward, different track, kind of the same scenario. I'm in my race car. No tags, no insurance, nothing on this car. It's not a registered vehicle. Off-road use only. I'm going through the pits to go to the trailer to start loading everything up. A drunk in his vehicle, street vehicle, tagged, insured, etc., revved it up, dumped the clutch, backed up, smashed my whole car. Okay? Guess who paid for it? Me. Nobody else paid for it. His insurance company didn't pay for it. The track didn't pay for it. There was no GoFundMe. R. Kelly didn't come and sing a song for me. I was responsible for all of that damage. It sucked. It sucked. So, I could keep on going about the false sense of security whenever you go to the track and you spend all that money to, especially if you go to a really busy track like most of the time I do, and you spend all that money, you take all these risks, and you still only get 1 or 2 passes in. I have a hard time saying, oh man, I can't wait. I have a hard time with that. I'm just being on the realistic side. Now, let's go to the NHRA rules. I almost bet. Now, I keep this in mind. I watch YouTube, so I watch all of your channels. I can tell you right now, most of you don't know what the requirements are for a track, for a cage, for a 6-point roll cage. Okay? Know what it is? 1149. Okay? I've watched a lot of you run 10-second passes with no 6-point roll cage. I guarantee you most of you don't even have dry shaft safety loops. Okay? I know some of you, like me, I have an MT82 in my car. There's no SFI standards for there's no SFI compliant equipment for that transmission. You don't have SFI approved harnesses in your car. Now, I know that I've watched, not all of you, but I've watched some of you run faster than a 999, which requires your roll cage to be certified. Okay? Now, and which, by the way, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to work really hard to get your car into the go faster than 1149. And as soon as you put that heavy cage in it and your car slows down, you're going to be salty. You're going to be salty. Because you just ran the fastest pass of your life. You're like, oh my God, this is so cool. Oh, I have to put a cage in my car? Oh, well, let's just add a couple 100 pounds. It's slow now? Jeez, that sucks. That's reality. The rules have only gotten worse over time, and the cars have only gotten better. what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that you have more of a likelihood of walking away from wrecking your brand new S550 that runs 10s than you would walking away from an uncaged 12-second 1985 or 86 piece of shit Fox body. That's what I mean by that. Cars have gotten safer. That's why they're heavier. There's more material. There's more safety restraints. There's airbags. There's all kinds of things to keep you safe. Now, even if I didn't have that, even if I was driving a 85 Death Trap Fox body that ran 10s, I'm grown. I'm grown. I made that decision. It'd be no different than me getting on a motorcycle and going for a ride without a helmet. I made that conscious decision that I was going to put my body in that situation at that time. I'm not sitting there feeling sorry for myself. You know, neither should you. Neither should you. Anyway, in the real world of street racing, you have a host, which is the person that makes sure that you have a safe spot to race. They have no like say so and anything else. The only thing you're doing is maybe they're making sure that you can get the spot in an industrial area, or there's private property involved, something like that. They are the ones that get you the spot. Most of the time you pay them, and that's all they do. Then you have two people, one from each set or crew, whatever you want to call it. They negotiate the terms. Now, this has got to be one trustworthy person, because there's no real friends in street racing. So they go negotiate the terms, and then whenever it comes back, there's not a bunch of people animated and throwing a fit and fist fighting like you see on YouTube. That does happen, but most of the time the terms are negotiated. The drivers of the car, because not all drivers, sometimes you have jockeys, somebody else owns the car, and you have a driver, somebody that can drive very good, driving the car. Okay, so you have the two drivers. They talk. They get an understanding of what's about to happen and the terms of the negotiation. The owner or driver of the car will. It's kind of like an honor system. Nobody's going to pop their hood for you. Nobody's going to pop their hood for you. In real street racing, I'm not talking about the shit you see on YouTube. Nobody's going to pop their hood and say, "Oh, here's my setup." No, it's not the way it works. This is the way it works. This is what it is. Because honestly, especially if it's old school technology, if I have a big block Chevrolet, I can tell you it's a 427. When in reality, you wouldn't know if it was a 427 from a 900. You have no idea. You're just gonna have to go by what is said to you. Now, that's where fights and everything else happen, is usually afterwards. But when you're running at that sort of a level, nobody's going to bring a knife to a gunfight. You're talking about two badass, top-notch big dogs going at it, and it doesn't even really matter at that point. Because let's face it, a lot of people have upgraded so far to where they have the Haltech systems, and people have like traction control and stuff like that. I'm not even nowhere near that level. I do have a badass car, but guess what? That car is nowhere near the top dogs. But anyway, I'm sorry that I kind of went off into a rant, but I hope you at least took a little something away from this. Regardless of what you do your best to be safe, do your due diligence, know who you're running around with, know who's around you, and you should be just fine. But until then, I'm going to do what I do, and I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings.